questions4dutch@gmail.com is how you submit your question into this show for consideration to be put to the Dirty Dutchman himself, and that is what so many of you do every single week, and that's what everybody in the format has done today. So straight away, we're going to get into the first question, Dutch, and it is from Mike. It says, you and James on occasion watched a number of hilarious and sometimes horrendous botches. It seems to be a very consistent theme now of some wrestlers attempting stuff that A, they shouldn't be doing, or B, aren't experienced enough to make it work, even if it could. At this point, it feels like sooner or later one of these moves, in quotation marks, is going to end up killing somebody if it hasn't happened already. I can understand the need to impress and stand out from the crowd, but what's Dutch's thoughts on this? Are things going too far, and will it take a botch, resulting in death, to stop it?
I was just talking about this last week, I think. It is a wonder that somebody, somewhere, hasn't been killed by doing these crazy spots. You know, if you can't do it, don't do it. That's an old cornet saying. So if you can't do the spot, don't do the spot. But they come up with these, I mean, a lot of it has to do with height. And I saw a guy, I think we showed it here. He fell off a pole trying to hit a table and missed it. So it's only a matter of time before there is a spot that kills somebody. You know, when you come off a 15-foot pole and your body lands like flat like this and your head hits that concrete, that could very well kill a person. So, I've said it time and time again, if you're going to do anything in wrestling, have a reason behind it. You know, some of them, they just do spots. It looks like a tumbling exhibition. But if anybody sits back and says, nah, I don't believe that. Because if you get into a real fight, I mean, you're not doing that crazy stuff out there. And you may get some of the kids to like it because you're flying around like a damn cartoon character. But some of this stuff is too much. And you know they didn't think it through. They just want to do it just so they said they could do it. And then another guy's trying to do it and he messes it up. Yeah. And this might be, I hate to say this, I don't want anybody to get hurt in that ring, but doing crazy stuff like that won't make you any money. It'll cut your career short and it could cut your life short. So if you're doing stuff like that, or you know somebody who's doing stuff like that, tell them to stop before they really, really get hurt.
Speaking of people really getting hurt, I've lined up a video for you, Dutch, to react to this latest botch that was making the rounds last week. So I'm going to pause 1 second and we're going to watch it together. Well, Dutch has ruined the surprise by seeing it already, but we're going to watch it. Do you know that song by Vangelis? Do, 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 do. Hang on, there it is.
No. God.
Amazing.
So are we on right now?
Oh, yeah.
Man. Let's see this again. He was going to jump through the table. The guy was going to, you can see what he does. He's going to move, and the guy was going to go through the table. And then he lands on his head. And watch this guy's face. He went like that. Oh, my God, he's dead.
Why has he got shoes like the Iron Sheik?
I have no idea.
He's got curly toes. Here we go. Look at the referee. Look at the referee's face.
Yep. And there he goes. He misses it. Now, that is nobody's fault, actually. It's not the guy rolling off the table. It's just that when he rolled off, they didn't know that the table would roll too. And it rolled up, was sitting straight up in the air, and he hit it. And I bet he broke a few ribs too.
Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow broke nothing, because wrestlers just seem indestructible from some of the big stuff. Do you know what I mean? Then the little things, they seem to just shatter themselves.
Well, I want to know when the next time this guy does this spot. And I don't know whose idea that was. Oh, let's go through a table. Oh my God. But he goes to the hospital and they said, "What happened to you?" And he said, "Well, I was jumping off a ladder and the guy was laying on the two chairs and the door was on him and I was going to jump off and he was going to move and boom, I was going to go through the door." They look at him like, "You got to be out of your goddamn mind to do that." And I wish they'd have kept the tape on. I wanted to see how that match would end. Do they ring the bell there because he's hurt, or does the guy pin him, or what?
He probably kicks out at 2, and they probably go for another 8
Oh,
minutes.
probably, and too much.
You bring up a very good point, Dutch. I'm sorry to interrupt. You bring up a very good point. It's just like these two guys in the ring. We don't even know their names.
No.
We can probably find them out, but the fact is that I don't know. I mean, there's a few examples, maybe like John Moxley or someone. There are very few examples of people who are doing death matches or ridiculous shit like this on the indies who make it to be big stars in wrestling. So I'm not quite sure what the end game here is for most people. It's like most people would be better served honing and developing a character, but that's easier.
Well, hey, that's the last thing they want to do is develop a character because they got to think about it. Then they got to go in the ring and they got to do stuff that this character would do instead of just doing a spot. See, he's seen that spot. And I guarantee you, this is how that spot was put together. One guy says, "Hey man, why don't we do this? Set the chair up. It's a hardcore match, and I'll lay across and put the door down, and they'll give me a base, and I'll lay there, and then you go to dive off, and I'll roll off, and you'll go through the door." The people go, "Wow!" They didn't even go, "Wow!" They went, "What the?" And they thought he died. And that's what I'm saying. A little bit more. Yeah, he could have punctured a lung. He could have done a lot of things. But, and I would be interested. If anybody knows who this guy is, drop us a note here. Ask Dutch. And what's the email address there, James?
Questionsfordutch@gmail.com. I could find out who it is. But
yeah, I want to find out who he is.
Here's the point.
And
why?
if he is, and when, and why is right. And I'm not saying that the motivation or the motive of the move, the guy wants to do good. He wants to do something that is remembered. And guess what? He did it. He's remembered, but I don't think he can do it again.
Okay. Here's something I wanted to mention to you. How many times have you seen someone dive off a ladder onto a table or a door, or whatever it is, dive off a ladder onto somebody else, whether they hit them or miss them? How many times have you seen it? 4,000 times? 5,000?
Yeah. That's it.
Right. So let's say that guy hits him. Do you know who would care, apart from the people in the crowd? Nobody. Do you know who cared when he botched it? And when I say cared, everyone watched it, they laughed, and then they might have shared it, and then they moved on with their lives. No one thought, "Man, what an incredible specimen, some promoter should sign him." They think, "Haha, what an idiot," and then forget about who. Right. And we don't even know who he is.
That's right. They don't care. They don't have any sympathy for him. And you know, the first thing they said was, "Boy, he effed that up, didn't he?" That's the first thing they thought. And then if he was really hurt, you could feel sorry for him a little bit, but. And I do feel sorry for him because he was trying. He wasn't lazy, but I think he was overweight anyway. But I think probably that overweight condition he was in probably saved him.
Good of him.
So,
but here's the thing: you're looking at your phone, right? You watch it. Ha ha ha! Oh, that hurts. Scroll to the next thing. And that's it.
You wouldn't send it to anybody?
Oh, I might send it to somebody. But that's it. You know, you send it to someone to get a reaction, "Ha ha ha, isn't this funny?" Yeah. Or "Ow, isn't this guy stupid?" No one's saying, "Man, we should sign this guy next." It serves no purpose. It takes no talent to jump off a ladder. I used to love it as a kid, but you know, you see something so many times, Dutch, and it just loses all of its impact.
They have nothing else to do. But if you tell a story, how many books have been written since the beginning of time? Trillions. and they all have a story. So if you could tell a story in 30 seconds, if you want to out there, just say, I don't like you because you went out with my ex-old lady. That's why she divorced me. And now you're fighting over something. You're fighting to get even. But they just going and having a match. Why? And yeah, you see that. See, they think that hardcore stuff is the only thing it is. And you don't even have to learn hardcore. You just got to do it and mess it up. And going back to Jim Cornette, if you can't do the spot, don't do the spot.
Next.
And that is one thing you would never see me doing, diving off a ladder. I'm not doing it. I won't even get on a ladder.